Do you suspect that your teen might be depressed? Are they withdrawn, spending a lot of time in their room, way more than usual? Are they irritable? Are you having to walk on eggshells around the home? Well, today I'm going to go over the symptoms of depression, how this affects the brain during teenage years. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you a couple coping skills that hopefully are going to help. All right, let's get into it. Hi there, I'm Dr. James Thatcher. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm the director here at Forest Psychological Clinic. And I've been working with kids and teens in one capacity or another since 2007, so darn near 20 years. Parenting a teenager with depression can be a lot as a parent. It's an emotional roller coaster ride to where you may feel helpless, not know what to do, scared, and that you're all alone. Well, today what I would like to do is to hopefully educate you on the symptoms of depression, what it looks like, and some different ways that you can practice some patience, some understanding, and the different signs to look out for in order to get them the help that they need, and maybe even practice some coping skills at home. Teenagers experience all kinds of emotions during adolescence due to hormonal changes, academic pressures, and social pressures. But when teens start to withdraw, become persistently sad, become very irritable, that's when things get concerning. That's when they may have depression. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, the prevalence of depression in teenagers from age 12 to 17 back in 2021 was 18.6%. And that's 20.1% for females and 11.5% for males. And 12.3% had what's called persistent depressive disorder. Basically what that is, and I can get into that into a different video, is kind of like a low-grade depression that lasts for years. It's not episodic anymore. What major depression is to where it's episodic, a single episode or recurrent episodes where they go into it and they come out of it and they go back into it. That's recurrent. A single episode is they come into it and they come back out and they stay out for a while, or hopefully never go back in. But persistent depressive disorder is when they go into it and they stay there for a long time. And what this translates to is at least 5 million teenagers in the United States had a depressive episode within the last year. So let's go over some common signs and symptoms of depression. The first one is being persistently sad. But then on top of that, something to look for, especially in teenagers, is being irritable. Especially in kids and teenagers, their depression can look like they're extremely irritable, on edge. This is going to be that feeling of you walking on eggshells around the home. If you say one wrong thing, they're going to snap at you. This can be a part of normal teenage behavior, but again, once it becomes more consistent, this is day after day after day, not just an episode or two where they're on edge or they seem kind of sad for part of the day or a whole day. This is them being sad for weeks on end or irritable for weeks and weeks on end. Another sign or symptom to look for is changes in eating and sleeping habits. So are they starting to put on weight? Are they losing a significant amount of weight? Are they eating as much as they should? Are they snacking way more than what they should? The other part of this is the sleep part. Are they having trouble falling asleep? Are they sleeping way too much to where they went to bed at a decent time, but they're staying in bed until noon, 1 in the afternoon? And again, this is persistent. They keep doing this. It's a pattern. Another one is withdrawing from family or friends. Are they isolating? Are they closing themselves off? Are they spending a lot of time in their room alone? Feelings of hopelessness or worthlessness. And you'll hear this in how they talk about themselves, to where you may hear statements of, I'm no good. No one really likes me. Or in regards to hopelessness, what's the point of doing this? What's the point of going to college? What's the point of moving out of the home? I don't have a future. Chronic fatigue, always feeling run down, always tired. They're just very lethargic. It's hard to get them off the couch. It's hard to get them out of bed. Difficulty concentrating, paying attention. Here in a minute, I'm going to talk about how the brain functions when it's depressed. What happens neurologically when depression hits a teenager? And this way, you'll be able to see how neurologically their concentration is affected, their energy levels are affected. But we'll get into that here in a minute. You also may see unexplained physical aches and pains. They may complain of frequent headaches, gastrointestinal issues, their stomach hurts a lot, that their back hurts, their muscles are sore, just their whole body hurts. And what this is called is somatic issues, to where sometimes when people are dealing with a lot of stress, depression, anxiety, and they're not processing these emotions, they're not quite coping with them, it can come out in different ways, somatically. Instead of feeling and processing through your feelings, it can actually translate into physical pain. And to that individual, it feels very real and they are very much in pain. But when you're depressed, these issues are exacerbated and they can come out as physical complaints. And of course, one of the biggest red flags to look out for is suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts, and even self-harm. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for individuals 10 to 24. More teenagers and young adults die from suicide more than cancer, heart disease, AIDS, influenza, birth defects, stroke, chronic lung disease, all combined. I should note that the information that I just gave you, I got from the Jason Foundation. Suicidal thoughts are unfortunately very common in teens and young adults. 11% of folks 18 to 25 have had a serious suicidal thought or serious suicidal ideation in the past year. And 1 to 2% have had a suicide attempt in the past year. And I got these stats from NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. Let me talk a little bit about how the brain functions when it's depressed. One area of the brain called the amygdala, and that's where a lot of emotional regulation happens, tends to be very heightened and overstimulated during this time. It can have difficulty regulating emotion. Another area of the brain called the hippocampus, that's where a lot of memory is being encoded, can be affected to where it can have reduced activity. So that's going to affect memory, and concentration, and ability to encode. You're gonna run into this when your teen is depressed. They may not remember everything that you tell them. And another area of the brain that's affected is what's called the prefrontal cortex. It's right up here. And this area is rapidly developing during teenage years. What this area houses, what this area controls, is executive functioning skills, attention, concentration, decision making. And during depression, that gets clouded. It's difficult for them to make decisions. So you also might run into indecisiveness. I'm just like, I just don't know. And another area of the brain that I want to discuss, and there's several other areas that get affected during depression, but one of the last ones I want to bring up is called the basal ganglia. And that has to do with motor functions and abilities to regulate emotions. And so this area, it's definitely going to be affected. And again, you might see that they're slowed down, that they're tired. It's hard for them to react as quickly, both physically and being as witty as they may once have been. And of course, there's going to be changes in neurotransmitters in the brain, different levels of serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline. All these are going to be out of whack compared to what they were before the depression. I just want to take this moment to encourage you to where if you know someone who is experiencing serious suicidal ideation, call or text 988. 988 is the suicide and crisis lifeline. Someone will be able to talk with you. And of course, if someone is in serious danger, call 911 and have them taken to the hospital to be evaluated. All the research does show to where if we put more time in between when someone is having a thought of suicide and enacting it, it gives the brain and it gives that person some space to make a change and ideally not commit suicide at that point. So please get them the help. So I want to scale back this video a little bit. I know that was pretty serious. This is a very serious topic, and we should talk about depression and suicide. But let's bring it back a little bit. And I want to give you some coping skills that are going to help with you and your teen, at least get them talking more about what could be going on with them. One of the biggest coping skills that I can give you is to foster open communication with them. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to talk to your teen about their feelings and to do this in a way that's non-judgmental and creates a safe place for them so they can open up to you. And some ways that you can go about this is to validate their feelings. Validation does not mean acceptance. Validation means that you're trying to understand and that you're showing that you're understanding and using active listening. This means listening to them, not jumping in and offering solutions, not jumping in to fix things, but listening to them. So some examples of what you should not say is, you shouldn't be feeling this way. Or, oh, you'll be fine. Let's just go do something fun. So the first one is very invalidating, and so is the second one. Even though it's well-intentioned, you're trying to distract from the problem. And there's a time and a place for that, but the time and the place is not right now when you're trying to get them to open up and talk about their feelings. A much better way to do this is to say something along the lines of, I see you struggling right now. Tell me more. What's going on with you? I want to know more. Things like that. Get curious. Ask questions. You know if something is wrong with them. You know if something is off. You've known them since they were a little kid. So if you feel like something is off, that they are having not just regular teenager angst or feeling a little depressed, that they'll come out of it. If you feel like they have depression, you don't have to be alone. You can reach out. You can talk to a clinician. You can get them seen by someone. I don't think I speak for myself when I say that one of the main reasons that I became a psychologist is not just to help people, not just to see them grow and blossom as therapy goes on, but also to save their life. Teen depression is a serious topic. It's so fulfilling for me to know that I've been a part of someone's journey and may have saved their life. If you feel like your teen is depressed, please reach out and get help sooner rather than later. Parenting through these tough times is not about being perfect. It's about showing up. It's about listening. It's about unconditional love. If you can keep doing that, you and your teen are going to get through this very difficult time in their life together. If you like this video, please stick around and watch this video where I talk about validation and active listening. This is kind of what I alluded to before, to where this is going to help foster open communication between you and your teen. So if you're really worried about them, this could be a way to get them to open up and talk to you and tell you what's going on. And that in and of itself is going to be a huge healing process for them and for you. All right. Hopefully I see you there. Bye-bye.